What is going on, everyone, and welcome into tonight's live trading. A lot of really good setups to look at. We're looking at futures. Let me just refresh this to make sure this is the latest info that we have right now. So futures are barely green, but they're green. So tech's actually up about 0.25%. Everything else is pretty much even. VIX is down. So it's setting up for a potential nice week. We'll see how this plays out, but a lot of good setups to watch. What we'll start off with first is we'll dive into SPY. Get a good sense of the overall market, how everything is setting on up. I want to also look at IWM, small cap ETF, just because that's interesting as to where we are on that. Okay, so take a look at SPY. We pull up SPY really quick. Yep, all-time highs. We're right up there. Okay, so we continue to kind of bounce off the 50 SMA. Every time SPY hits that 50 SMA, we bounce to the upside, it seems like. You know, not crazy moves as of late, but these dips we can see very clearly. The past couple of months, I mean, it's just very apparent. These dips get bought up very fast. Every dip we have, it seems like for a couple of days, the world's ending, right? Everyone's like, oh my gosh, you know, Powell, the Fed, the market, inflation, all this stuff. But then 2 days later, we're right back up at highs, it seems like. And that's what's been happening. So it's very strong. Now, at some point, that probably ends. But when that happens, I don't know. So in the meantime, right, we can take advantage of what we can take advantage of, right? Everybody in there, you know, it seems like a lot of bigger names, right, are calling for the biggest crash ever. You know, I've seen a lot of stuff on social media, you know, fear mongering, whatnot. Now, do I think that's possible at some point down the road? Yeah, for sure. We can definitely see a pretty substantial pullback, you know, but at the same time, it's just not happening right now. And you can't time that. You can be the perpetual bear all day, every day, but then everything is just going up. So, you know what, you might as well take advantage of the upside when we have it. But always make sure, I think in this situation right now, especially in the summer, and especially for those looking at the high growth, the small caps, when things slow down towards the end of the summer, generally, now of course this may not happen this year, we'll see. But if that does happen, we need to make sure that we're right next to the door so we can step out. Okay, just make sure that that's kind of how we want to be playing it. The way that I'm playing it is that I honestly was a little bit, I'm not over leveraged, I'm not on leverage, but I had a little bit too much money in the market. And so what I'm looking to do is just scale out. I'm not trying to find too many new swings. If I'm going to take a new stock, I'm looking for more day trades. In the meantime, right, obviously I have my swings that I'm playing, which if you guys are new, tune into Saturday's video. I talk about all the stocks I'm holding at the end of the video every single week. Those are my swings, and I see a lot more upside on those swings, at least 25% or more, at least. So for a lot of them, I'm looking for like 50+% ideally, but who knows, the market conditions could change. So I'm looking to eventually be by midsummer, you know, next couple weeks, ideally, maybe after the holiday, after 4th of July. Ideally, I'm looking to potentially be more close to half in the market, half cash is what I'm looking to be. Even though things are still strong, I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna shy away from it. But that's what I want to be, just so that in case we do see some pullbacks or things start to slow down, I have some cash to add into dips on swings I like. And I'm not going to be, you know, taking a pretty substantial beating on my short-term positions or in the small cap space. That's just kind of the play. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to dive into, I think, five small cap swings that I think are stocks that are setting up for good swings, I think, given the current conditions, good risk-reward plays. And then we'll dive into some questions. I'll talk about some other stocks people are calling out, which there's definitely a lot to talk about. There's going to be plenty of opportunities this week. Large caps, small caps, I mean, there's a lot of good setups, I believe. But I do want to point out IWM. Okay, this is the Russell 2000 ETF. Okay, a lot of stocks, a lot of penny stocks being added to the Russell 2000 and whatnot. So there's a catalyst there for some of them. I just haven't seen that to be a huge catalyst, to be honest, on a lot of those stocks. Although we'll see how that plays out. So where are we? We are literally at resistance. We are right up at that resistance area. Okay, so what was very apparent in past weeks is that on this downtrend, this pullback on the Russell, on IWM, we saw a lot of small caps ticking down 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10%, right? For no reason, right? Just because the market was down, SPY was a little bit red, IWM was red for a couple of days in a row. Boom, that's what happened. So that correlation, at least right now, is very strong. So IWM breaks out of this kind of consolidation and breaks to the upside, we'll probably be in a period where small caps do quite well for at least a couple of weeks, unless something crazy happens. So it looks like into early July, things are positive. So if you're looking to be a swing trader on the small cap front, which will lead us into some of the swings I like, I'm actually not in any of these swings, but they're stocks I'm ready to go. These are my top couple that I'm looking at least as of right now. But if you're looking for stuff, this is kind of where you want to be because it's working out. The swing market has been pretty nice, at least right now. Day trade wise, a little bit less, a little more choppy, I will say. And also the day trade thing, I've been noticing that the top percent gainer, if you're not able to get in on that stock early in pre-market, on the stock that has the news, that has the attention, that has momentum for small caps, if you can't get in early in pre, what ends up happening is you end up missing out quite a bit. Because in intraday, lots of knives, crazy volatility, some of them catch and go, but a lot of them have been like knifing on down. So it's a lot more volatile, so you gotta be careful. Okay. I'm seeing WNW, VTNR, Hook. What's up? I hope everyone's doing nice. SPY balancing was nice. It definitely is helping on out. Got burnt holding Torch. TRCH bag down 50%. Only going to get half of metamaterials for each share. I don't want to say that was a. Here's the thing. Okay, let's look at TRCH. I just want to make sure that here's what happened on TRCH. For people who are jumping on in, everyone has. I've been aware of this stock for quite some time. I just personally didn't take it for a swing. I missed out on the big moves, right? Because I was aware of it back in here when it hit up to $5, pulled back and popped, and then eventually fell under $2. It fell down to the low ones for quite some time, and then it made its crazy move to $10. Now, if you were looking at TRCH and you were buying it or even just holding this stock while it's all the way up to $10, getting up 8, 9, 10, right? Into, the merger or whatnot or whatever. Understand, okay? I just want to make sure you understand that this stock, okay, had been up in the past month and a half, been up about 500%, okay? In my eyes, that's an amazing gain. Now, could stocks go for more? Sure. But if you're not taking something off the table, I don't know what to tell you. You have to, if you're playing small caps, you have to understand that a lot of these companies they have really one main interest in mind, a lot of them. Now, I'm not speaking for TRCH and metamaterials, but they're looking to make money as well, okay? And so a lot of times, right, they have the opportunity to raise capital, to do an offering, whatnot. They're going to take advantage. And so a lot of times also, you all see when a stock goes up, when a stock goes parabolic, okay, you're going to see emotions at highs because you have a lot of retail traders in a stock and a lot of emotional traders. When stock starts dipping on down, they panic sell, they market sell. And so that's what happens right here, and you get these mega red candles. Now, I was actually amazed. I was actually in TRCH on this day for a swing, for a short, actually, because it had made such a parabolic move. And I shorted it up from, I think, around 9 or something like that. And I was looking for maybe a swing for a couple of days, and I was looking for this gap fill down to about $6 or $7. So I think $7 was my target, okay? And I scaled out along the way. But I was literally just looking to play the panic sell. Now, I had a tight stop in place. If this stock started gaining momentum again, I was out because I know what happened the past couple of days. It had momentum, but it fell off massively because you get that big time downside and the offering potential and whatnot. So it's holding up decently here down towards 5, just under 5. But I personally, there was at that point the risk reward as TRCH was up 100%, 200%, 300%, 400% over the past 2 weeks. At that point, the risk reward in my eyes is never great for a swing trade. For a swing trade specifically, if you're looking for day trades, there's always opportunity. Any stock, I don't care if it's the 5th day it's up, the 5th day it's down. There's always opportunity, and a stock could be overall uptrending, and you could be shorting and making money on a small movement. A stock could be overall downtrending, and you could be going long and making money on day trades. There's always opportunity. I do want to point out, before we dive into these 5 swings that I want to point out really quick, ATOS. Not home, ATOS. This is a stock that I will say is a significant risk at these levels. Now, we even saw, look what happened in the after hours. The stock, plummeted on down. So it may already be on the down pull, right, going into this week. So we'll see. It's one of the stocks on my watch list. If it starts falling below if it starts falling below the lows of the after hours, starts falling below 725, it could dip further. If it starts pushing back up over 8, that could be good for the bulls. But ATOS, if we zoom out, look at this absolutely parabolic move. It was just, look at it. It's just absolutely parabolic. If you're going to be long ATOS, you are not playing a stock that has a good risk reward. You're just not. You really aren't. I don't care what they have going on in the pipeline, what's to come, and how big it could be. Risk reward right now for a short-term trade is just not there. Unless you have a much longer outlook and you're going to accumulate dips if we get them, then sure, go ahead. But right now, for a short-term swing, here's where you can end up becoming a bag holder, buying the stock up over $8. Let's say you bought it up over $9. You're a bag holder over $9. The stock could easily come down sub $5 in the next couple weeks. Also, not to mention, if the summer is slow like it has been in past years, this is a stock that if they don't keep pumping up with what they got going on behind the scenes, and it's not and people aren't on Reddit going around trying to squeeze shorts out of the stock, right? If that starts to pull back, and if we get kind of any signal to the downside here, this stock will be down under $5 in a hurry, which could be, over a 50% drop fast. So just make sure you are aware. This is the downside with some of these stocks, and it's done it every time. Every spike it's gotten, look at the pullbacks. They were substantial. Now it's put in higher highs. So there's great trend here. But at the end of the day, if you're looking for an entry on this stock and you feel like you're missing out and you have that FOMO, you're probably going to be able to get a lower entry at some point in the future unless there's a squeeze or unless, who knows. But that's not, if you're looking to be a consistent trader with a strategy, that's playing for the squeeze ultimately is not the strategy up here. Playing for a squeeze down lower, that's a better strategy. So, for example, Workhorse is one of those stocks actually as of right now. WKHS, if it's going to squeeze, it's definitely setting up in a much better spot. Yeah, okay, the stock went down under $7 or around to $7, and it's up 100% from the lows. Yeah, sure. But look back to the left. It has range. Workhorse has range. It's a high shorted stock. It has range. Your downside here isn't as bad as ATOS, and you have a lot more upside. So if Workhorse makes a pop on up and gets up towards $25, you're looking at a 50+% play. Could it fill this gap right here and go to 30? Yeah, that's 100%, right? So there's an example of finding a better risk reward. Don't have to chase something because everybody else is chasing it. It's looking for opportunity. And this is an example of one stock that I actually kind of like. So I might look for a day trade or something like that this week. I might even take an option trade on this guy. I'm kind of thinking about throwing this one in. I don't really use Robinhood, but I have some money in there. I might throw some money in my Robinhood or buy some options on this guy for this week or for next week and just see what happens. If it doubles, it doubles. If it doesn't, it doesn't, That's kind of my thought process on that one. Okay, so for the small cap swings, Chris. Okay. This stock, a prior massive runner. Look at this stock, hit up to over $17. It has quite the range. It's a very, very, it has that history, okay? Which is great. We have a dip down here, and look what we got. We are curling off this $7.50 area. We're holding up around $7, $7.50 support. So easy risk reward play in my eyes. Why? We have a dip down here at $7.11. If this stock drops under $7, I'm out. If you're taking the first swing, I'm out. I'm not in it right now, but it's a very easily identified risk. Okay, so we're at $7.70 right now. Your downside risk down to under $7 would be just about 9%, and my target would be up towards the 50 SMA, which would be up here towards 1150, which would be 50%. And then we have this gap fill, which would be 60% up towards 1225. So Chris is an example of, okay, it's a technical play. Could it eventually drop down below 7 and eventually go crazy a couple weeks later, months later? Yeah, sure. Keep it on the radar. But as of right now, risk reward, if I'm going to risk 10% down for a potential 50% or more move, I will do that every single day. Okay, this is the perfect play. It may not work. Things may not work out, but if you're going to cut it under 7, it's a really good risk reward play right now for a swing. I like this one a lot. If small caps stay hot, Chris is definitely one to watch. Also, watch out for some news. That's definitely something you would be paying attention to. Watch out for some news on Chris. Okay, getting a little excited out here. So what do we got? My mouth is getting quite dry. After Chris, CRIS is the ticker on that guy. We have Cassie. Let's take a look at Cassie. CASI. Someone mentioned this on the last stream. This got quite the volume on Friday. Look at this volume bar. That's very interesting to me. Actually, Let me star this one on my sheet right here. I had it already, but let me star this one because that volume is very interesting. Would not be surprised for some news come Monday or for a pretty substantial week on Cassie. We have the 50 SMA right here that we're getting rejected by, but we break up over that level. Resistance up towards 175, and then $2 will be the next target on Cassie. So that's pretty solid right there as well. I would probably play it. You could play it down towards the 132 lows or play it down towards about $1.50. Actually, we have a low down here towards 145. So you can risk it down to 145 with targets up towards 2 or more, right? This has that potential as well. Look at this chart. Very nice chart. I like Cassie. I may toss some money at this one come Monday as well, come tomorrow. Okay. CTRM, this is another one. It's a shipper play. We have a lot of interest along some shippers. CTRM is a very popular kind of, I guess, Reddit stock. It was a meme stock back when it ran back in February. Look at the stock. It went from sub $2 to $19. Now, there was some reverse stock splits and whatnot, but the potential is still there. Look at the run it had, okay? It had a crazy run up over 1,000%. Insane. Not saying it's going to do that, but look at this stock. Look at the risk reward. You are down here around $2.50. Could it keep coming down? Yes, I 100% could see it keep coming down. But also, could this make a pretty nice reversal back to the upside? Has, let's say it gets attention. Shippers are getting attention right now. This is definitely one that has that range, and 100% is not out of the question on CTRM. I would be looking at it for a move up to the 50 SMA, which would be about a 40% move from the current levels, which would target up towards 375 or so. 350 every like 25 50 cents. I'll probably take some profits if I get into CTRM this week, but it's one I'm watching for sure. Okay, CTRM is a stock that also got quite the pump back, a while back. Everyone loved it for whatever reason. I couldn't tell you why, but they loved it. So that's that. I could see them come back to it. CABA, look at this one, has quite the drop as of late, fell off, but it's rounding itself, right? So we actually have a very similar setup to Chris, where $7 would be my cutoff. So I'll be buying this stock down here. If it falls down $7, I'll cut it off. So it's sitting at $7.50. You're going to risk 50 cents to the downside. Where's my first target going to be? Probably up here to this consolidation up towards $8.50. So I'm looking to risk 50 cents for $1 as my first PT, my first price target. And then I wouldn't be surprised if we see up towards $10. So there's quite the range on CABA as well. I like this one for a swing as well. Look at the volume. Volume is coming in. Again, one other things to also note is that you don't have to take all these swings. You can take one or two at a time and also always have these on your radar. And it's something that I love to do, and I can always come back to these stocks, in a couple weeks, in a couple months, and I always come back to them, right? Okay, APTO, the last one, then we'll talk about some questions. We'll go into some of the chat, and we'll dive into that. Okay, APTO, similar setup here. Bottoming out, fell down to 322. We're sitting at 340, 330 in after hours. If it falls below about 325 and holds below 325, out, okay? Play it on up. First price target up towards 425. 50 SMA here towards $4, even $5, and the gap fill will be up towards 525. So lots of range on APTO as well. I like this setup as well. Similar setup, okay? There you guys have it. There we go. All right, let me go back through some of the stuff in the chat. Let's see. Alf ran from 12 to 20 after the bell on Friday. What do we got on Alf? Alf. 1 hour chart on Alf hit up to 20.75. Yeah, Alf has been kind of crazy. It's actually holding up kind of nice right here. It's interesting how, look at this, prior high, prior resistance becoming support just beautifully on this chart. I mean, Alf is still strong. I mean, here's the thing, Alf, I'll be watching for a short opportunity eventually, maybe, because if it falls below, let's say, 15.75. But if it stays above that level, above 16, I don't want to touch that short. This has been strong. It's a low float stock. CEO kind of pumped it on up, but hey, it doesn't matter what kind of gets it going. People love it. So, the volume's there, momentum's there. So I'll be watching this one for sure. I'll be watching Alf. I'll be watching all the swings like I mentioned before, but I just wrote down Alf again. It's been on my list from last week, but I make a fresh list every single week. Staying away from TRCH, yeah, it's holding around that $4.55, but yeah, I wouldn't want to mess with it at this point. Let it settle out, and we can see and assess from there. Can you compare the last 4 days of Alf price action to LEDS? LEDS from, when was that? From 528 to 6.4. LADS is interesting as well because this is a stock that's probably going to make a move back on up. Let's zoom on out on LEDS. So from 528 to 64, 528 would be right here. So it kind of pushed on up, right? Held up a higher low, held up on these lows, and then pushed again. So you're right. It's a very similar kind of setup. Look at ALF. Okay, you have a push, a pullback, but establishing higher lows, and it holds up that support right wherever that support is. And right now we're finding it to be around $16 on ALF. And if ALF holds around 16, it definitely has that setup again for another move up, but it has a very similar chart. They're very strong. There will be big downside, big upsides. These are great stocks. LEDS, ALF, these are great stocks to play for the next month and a half. I mean, you can play them long, play them short. There'll be opportunities on both sides. So, for example, LEDS, I actually think is a good long right now, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go back and take a peek. Yeah, I mean, look at this chart. It's the same setup right now, hitting up to over 30, came back down, it almost cut in half. Yeah, okay, there's volatility there. So shorts made some good money on the downside, and now it's holding up quite nicely at $17. So as long as LEDS holds over $17, you probably got some good risk reward here. Even for a swing, it's not a terrible idea for a swing, right? We have the chip shortage going on, right? Semiconductor plays. This thing, okay, risking right here down to about $17, you're going to risk 12%, or no, even less. You'll risk down about 10%, 10, 11%, okay? Upside here, I'd probably target up towards $25 first, 30%. So you're looking at a 3-to-1 reward to risk. I mean, this is a good play. It's probably got even more in the tank. I could see it hitting and making new highs based on how small caps are holding up, how how low floats in general have been doing. And this is a semiconductor play. There's a fundamental play here as well. It's not just a random ticker that's going to go because the CEO says our stock's undervalued, like ALF, for example, right? That's a low float. There's more backing behind this one. So I actually like this one a lot more long right now than I would short for sure. So I like LEDS as well. That's a good one to point out. AHT. Here's how I see AHT. I have a pretty bad average. Okay, I will say. I will completely admit, if you go back a couple of videos ago when I said I was in AHT, a couple of Saturdays ago, I literally bought the top. I quite literally bought in up here, which was terrible, and I never do that for swings. The only reason why was because I bought that looking at the weekly chart. And I said, you know what? I don't care. I'll buy it up here, and I'll buy dips, and I will play this one into the next couple months. This is the weekly chart on AHT. Pre-pandemic, the stock was trading up over $20. Go back, it was trading even higher than that before that. Now, I'm not saying it's going to go over $20 next week. I'm just saying as a longer-term play, I like this one a lot, okay? It held these levels absolutely beautifully. So I had this line that I drew in right here at about $4.40, prior high back in here. What did it do? It came up $5. It couldn't hold 5, so it fell below 5. But it fell below 5 briefly and dipped down to 440 for a couple days, and boom, just bouncing right up off there. It's now over $5, holding over 5. Would like to see it continue to hold over 5, but this is a swing that with hotel opening back up, not even opening back up, but just hotels seeing a much higher capacity. We're seeing more people going out, taking trips, traveling, business, fun, leisure, all that stuff. I just don't see how in the next couple of months AHT can come up with horrible earnings, can come up with horrible numbers to back themselves up here. I just don't see that happening. So I see it as a couple month play, unless if it goes to $10 like this week or next week, I'm going to take profits. Because I mean, if the stock goes that far, 100% that fast, I take something off the table. But I think it could be a really, really nice play, a little bit longer term. So if you're patient on it, I think you're going to get paid. So I think under 5 would be amazing. I have an average over 5. So I mean, I think I'm around my average. If not, I'm still probably down on what I've made on this stock. I did average down. I have been day trading around a core size, but I started buying it way too high up, which I mistimed it. But it's fine because I was leaving cash available to add in. So I always enter a swing with that opportunity. I see from where I bought it, and I still saw over 50% upside. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this trade right here, and I'll be averaging down if it dips. And we got dips, and I averaged down. All right. Let's see. Finally made a Webull account. Side growth challenge. Start at $600 past Friday. Any recommendations? So yeah, the swings some of those swing trade ideas that we talked about in the beginning or a few minutes ago Could be some good penny stock ideas. AHT could be a good idea as well. It's probably, I think, if you're patient on it, I don't think it's something that's too risky. I think it's very, very doable of 100% from the current levels for sure. Could even be more, but I would say AHT hits 100%, take a good chunk of profits, and then find something else you see good risk reward on as well. So that's what I'd be doing. I'd be looking for these bottomed out plays. I would not be looking to chase or even try a day trade. If you're looking for a challenge like that, you could, if you want to be more active in it, yeah, you can day trade stuff, and that's fine. But I think your better bet is to take a step back, look at bigger picture trades. AHT, bigger picture sector is definitely warming back up post pandemic, right? We're warming back up. It makes sense. The chart's there. Look at the weekly chart. Go back a couple years. This chart's setting up really nice. I think that's a good one as well. You mentioned Cassie. Yeah, Cassie is definitely one I think is gonna be solid. I would put a good chunk of cash into that one too, and scale that one out fairly fast on some of these plays, because just be careful, because again, into the summer months, it's going to be something that we want to make sure. Yeah, we want to make sure that we aren't going to get caught if things pull back and all of a sudden the bids get pulled, the algorithm shut off come like August. You don't want to be, you don't want all your cash in the street, right? Because at that point, or if we get a pullback in the overall market, if we get a big pullback in the overall market and your entire portfolio is all in on stocks, that's fine. You just hold it out, right? If there's nothing fundamentally changed on your stocks, hold it out. Okay, no big deal. Yes, but it would be really nice to have some cash. So you want to make sure you keep cash available. I'm looking to kind of build out a bigger cash position going forward. Just taking more day trades, scaling out of swings that hit my targets, and that's the idea. Clove. Let's see what we got in Clove. Clove is an interesting one. I don't know. It's had these squeezes up and down, and I just personally would like to let it come back down again. Let's see if it comes back down sub 12, and it's got. I like it as a longer term play. It's just gotten a lot of short squeeze kind of messing with it in a way that people could be on to the next one, and this one could come down quite a bit, and then it could be better. There could be better entries. So I like it as an accumulation play for a longer term move. Although if it does pop 25, 30, 40% in one day, take something off, because you'll probably get a better entry the next day or the next week to re-add those shares that you sold. So trim something off the table on that one. I think it's fine longer term though. Let's see. Mosey is another one similar to Leeds. Yes. To LEDS. MOSY. Yes. I'll pull it up. If LEDS is pushing on up, this one likes to follow. Mosey. So we take a look at this one. It's actually curling on up quite nice as well. It pulled back on Friday, but it's got a nice reversal here. $6 support for now. Has a range of $10 or more. So if LEDS pushes up, this is one to watch as well. Snack 600 HT at 450 sold 5. Wait for 4 to reload. Been trading for a year now. That's nuts. That was the opportunity there, right? From someone who potentially could have picked that thing up and just, even if you just literally bought AHT at like under 2 and just forgot about it and said, yeah, I'll reassess this one in like 2 years. Like you're gonna look back and be like, wow. BON, interesting recent IPO. That's one that I think I just saw last week, right? BON IPO. These recent IPOs have been quite hot, so this is one to watch. BON. We have ranged 10.53 down to 6. There's not much price history to go off here, right? So we don't have a ton to look at, but there's volatility here for sure. Start halting. Didn't quite have enough juice. GOED. And someone mentioned GTT. I'll pull that one up too. GOED. This is actually, I think the chart looks really good. This is a good one. It's filled the gap. It's actually broken the downtrend, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, right? Roughly. Yeah, it's roughly broken this downtrend. It's got range. It's kind of a crazy stock after that massive pull. This was a super weird stock. It had that crazy spike that one day. Then they dropped an offering. Literally the same day they dropped an offering in the after hours. And the thing has been, grinding from here. So I'm kind of curious to see if it has a crazy run in it. So we'll see. We will see. Someone mentioned GTT. As I don't know, unless someone let me know what this is other than a short squeeze play, because that's all I've been able to find on it, unless I'm missing something. I just didn't look close enough. Problem with GTT that I have on the long side is look at this resistance. The 200 SMA, this orange line, has been resistance as it's been downtrending, and it's made quite a nice pop. It has had a nice pop off the bottom, right off the low ones, popped up here, hit up to over almost 5, has pulled back, 50 SMA bounce. My concern is that there's going to be resistance up here at $3.30. If it breaks through, great, but there is going to be the downside. So you could get a bigger move on this stock, but you can also get some hard pulls. And I have been actually shorting this stock for day trades the past couple of days because of these hard pulls, and we've been getting them, and I've been actually taking advantage of them. For example, back here on Thursday, I had a short from pre-market, and I was going to stop out over VWAP. So if it held up over about this $3.15 level, I would stop out. It ended up falling off, and boom, it fell down to $2.65. Massive, massive downside. Quick pop, I got out. Done. Okay. Did the exact same thing again at the open on Friday. Boom. Sold off in the open. Then what I did was I actually started accumulating a little bit more on the short side. Now, nothing crazy, but I grabbed a little more for the same idea. And I have some shorts set for much higher. So if it does hit some higher sells, I will have, but it's a very small position. I'm not looking to take anything huge. And I'm willing to swing this one. It's not a super expensive stock to borrow. Or at least it's not that bad in terms of my horizon on it for like a week or two hold max. I don't want to hold it for more than that. And then it becomes expensive and from what I was looking at in terms of what Weeble's borrow rate is. But I think it's not a bad idea. But the problem, because if it's only a short squeeze play, then what's happening, right? What are we seeing? We're seeing, right, AMC, you have GTT, which I don't think is a very popular, name on the short squeeze space, right? Could it go? Yeah, but it's not like everyone's consolidating their efforts here. By no means. If they did, it could go crazy, right? No one's doing that, and there's to a large magnitude. But then you got Clove, you got this stock, you got that stock. There's a short squeeze over here. There's Wish. It's like there's too much. When this happens, it happened last time, right? What ended up happening? Now, of course, we saw an overall bigger downtrend in a lot of tech, high growth, but we got to a point where everything was just short squeezing because of why not? And then eventually you spread yourself too thin when they want to hammer it down, when the market pulls, everyone freaks out, panic sells, and it's over, right? And it ends quick. So just understand that when you start spreading yourself thin across so many different stocks, the downside, there becomes some significant downside. And I wouldn't want to be, buying AMC and then Wish and then GTT and then SNDL and then this stock and then that stock and all these different short squeeze stocks. It's just like consolidate your efforts to one or two plays at a time and take advantage of the move. Get in, get out, move on to the next one. Unless you're on your, obviously your AMC for those who are holding it long, right? Then there's the bigger focus on that one to hold it long. But a lot of these other ones, they're not going to get that same attention as AMC. So you want to be able to get in and get out. Take your profits quick and move on. That's it. That's how I see it. Best is another one as well. Best, I have seen a little bit of action on as well. Best, we have resistance up around $2. So we're going to have resistance at $2. I'll draw that line in really quick. That is one to watch on Best. Why is that? Prior support back in here, prior kind of high, almost right back in there. And that's also 50, or the 200 SMA is up here towards 225. This is one that also has lots of range. Look at the weekly chart on this one. Lots of range up after $2. I wouldn't be surprised if it made a much bigger run and hit up towards this 395. I wouldn't be surprised. It could be, it could have a big run up towards the 375, 395. So that's what I watch on Best. Just be cautious on that one as well, because it has made a quick pop the past couple of days. It's had a little bit of a move, so understand that there is downside here if it does want to get pulled. If they want to pull it, they can pull it, because it's had 3 days of movement. Maybe it has 1 or 2 more days of a big move, and then it could get pulled pretty quick. Let's see. Good Sunday evening, Melbourne Beach. Appreciate that. That's awesome. Hope you're having an amazing Sunday. Nice. It was actually kind of cloudy here, but it's been super hot. You guys can probably see I've been getting fried. I've been outside a lot, so my face has been catching some sun for sure. Fisker this week will hold the 20s. 20s is key on FSR. 20s is a key area on FSR. So we have this consolidation. We're trying to break out, but we're seeing some indecision. Buyers, sellers, we're getting some action, right? Over $20. You got to get over $20 and hold. So here's how I would see it. If Fisker breaks $20, great. It might break $20 and come right back down. You want to see it roughly getting over 20 and then holding up over 20. That's a good sign. At some point, though, Fisker is a stock that, the way that I see it, is it's a great play to play it for these moves, and then there'll be a bigger dip. So what I would be doing is I'd be scaling something out and then looking to try to get in lower because they don't have production for quite some time. So we still got over a year to production. So there'll probably be bigger dips on this one, I would imagine. Think of like CCIV as well. There was hype and then the dips. There will be ups and downs, I think, over time. Right now, EVs are hot, so make sure with the infrastructure play, this is in play, but just be careful as it starts getting up there. I would be taking something off the table. That's how I'd be doing it. And I've been selling covered calls. I actually do not own any Fisker as of right now because I got my covered calls got executed, which is fine. It's been a free trade in my eyes, but Fisker needs to come. Well, Fisker, I'm looking for a bigger dip longer term. Short term, it may go, but longer term, I want to get this thing back down here somewhere in the 15 area, maybe in a couple months, maybe, who knows. If we see some pullbacks in the growth and the tech and all that, and Tesla pulls back, we could see it. Let's see. I'm missing stuff. I appreciate the donation. Thoughts on ALF next week. Let's pull up ALF. Let's pull this guy up again. Look at the setup here on ALF. So if we look at this guy on the 1 hour chart, we can get a better view. So it's holding the prior highs, okay? So it's got a $16. You want to see $16 holding up. If $16 can't hold, this may come down a little bit more. But if $16 can hold in the short term, the very short term, this has more range back up to $20 or more. It's got to break over $20. But it's been a crazy play for sure, because if you take a look straight up, and the CEO made some comments, it's a low float stock. They want to keep it that way. They want to have that ability for retail to get in. They see the stock as undervalued, and those comments catapulted the stock on up. So that's in a sense, he pumped his own stock, right? You can say, but at the same time, it doesn't matter. The volume's been here. The volume is here. There will be downside. I just want to see what happens if we open up on ALF under 16. I would be cautious of the downside there. If we stay over 16 to hold 16, I would want to be long. I wouldn't want to be short ALF until it falls under 16 or so and holds under 16. And then that would be my kind of stop. If I was a short, right? Not right now. If I was, just want to make sure you think about both sides. If I was a short, under $16, I like it short for a move, maybe back down to like 14, even 13. So you have a couple dollar downside, which is great. If you're a short, there's opportunity there. For a long, there's ultimately more opportunity if the thing does go crazy. But if you're a short, it falls under 16. I would, if I was a short, stay short until it reclaims 16. It reclaims 16, I get out. Now, reclaim doesn't mean get to 1605 and fall right back down. It means get over 16, go to 1605, hold 1605, hold 1610, 1615. Then it pulls back, holds support at 16, and then pushes up. That's when you get out. If you're a short, that's when the shorts would cover, in my eyes, and how I would play it. So that's my thoughts on it. It's got resistance up towards $20, so that's key. Also psychological, right? $20, kind of an easy number to sell into. So we'll have to watch that as well. Alrighty, let's see. Best looks good. Volume increasing. Chinese stocks about to run. Let's see. BDSI financials are great. Huge upside. Got leaps. BDSI. Let's pull it up. Pull up the daily here. That's actually not a bad setup. Pull up the weekly here. Yeah, the weekly chart looks really good too. It's got some, I mean, this is not a super fast mover, right? But it's got range. This is the weekly chart. So each of these candles is 1 week. Support, working in low end support here down towards $3. You're sitting here like a little over that, which is not bad. So there's your support right there. You got range back up to 4 or 5. This has got some good upside. I like that idea. AHT bounced off support. AHT bounced beautifully off that support. MXC may run pre-market like FFHL did Friday, but Mondays aren't. Yes, I would be. That's what I'm cautious on too for MXC as well. FFHL did a similar thing where you may get a lot of stocks. You may get these quick pops in early pre-market, like 4 a.m. when Webull's open and when some brokers are open, and then come by 7 a.m. A lot of profit taking has been done on a lot of them. So be cautious on that. Feeling BBIG is going to have a run this week. Strong support. I'll take a look at that. It's actually a popular stock as well. BBI, I don't have any, but it is a popular stock for sure. We are trying to hold up roughly around $4, which is holding up quite well. If $4 holds up, it's got some spike ability, got some range, 5, 6. and then of course 10 back in here. So that's great if it can. If not, if it does dip down, this is the weekly chart. Let's look at the daily chart. Yeah, so $4 is going to be the area. I mean, 380 or so, realistically 375 is like actually worst case scenario. I wouldn't want to just get stopped out under 4 for it to go to 375 and then bounce. But we have strong support here down towards 250 if it does dip that far, 225 if it ever did. But in the meantime, here's where I'd be watching a support to hold right in there. You want to see that area holding for now. That's good. And then there's range up for sure. POW, P-O-W-W. This has been one that has been having quite the year, if I'm not mistaken. It's up at $9. Yeah, I saw this one catching some fire, this past week as well. I think I saw it on some scanners and whatnot. So for those who don't know, I use I use trade ideas in the morning. Usually, what I usually do in the morning and then after hours, if I'm paying attention in after hours. So like super early in the morning, I'll put in trade ideas, and it will just call out stocks that have highs of the days. The scanner that I have access to, and I get it technically through a group that I'm in. So I don't necessarily trade ideas. You can customize a lot of different things. So I get it through there. So stocks that hit highs of the day, I've been hearing POW a lot, and it's been making a nice move. It's got some support that it dipped down to. If it does dip again, support down towards $7. So wouldn't be a terrible spot. But up towards 10, it's going to have resistance up towards 10. It's made quite the run, so just be cautious on that. But it's an ammo play, which has been killing it as of late. CCIV merger, the July 22nd. I do want to pull up CCIV. It's one that we probably honestly haven't talked about a lot on the channel, which I feel like I should have talked more about it. But it's in this like kind of weird, it just looks kind of weird because it had made such a crazy run initially on the initial hype. But right now we're sitting down here. I mean, at the longer term play, I like dips on this guy, and that's it. I don't even have any. I really want to get some, which isn't really an excuse, but I should just buy some, maybe in the IRA. Yeah, I may actually do that. I just sold, or I freed up some money in my IRA. I may grab some of this in the IRA. And the IRA is just, my Roth is where I would just rather, for most people, you're better off just buying like VOO, Vanguard's S&P ETF, and just forgetting about it and just buying it like with max out your IRA if you can, max it out every year. It's like $6,000 a year. And then buy VOO, and if you do that from a young age, you're set for life. Not for life, but that account will do just fine, and you're going to be fine. When you're like retire age. But if you want to do a little bit better than the overall market returns, that's where you can buy something like CCIV. Maybe you see Tesla as one of those stocks as well, or even an Apple, which you're ideally looking for. Something that'll beat the markets consistently or roughly in the next couple of years. And if CCIV pops on up, and you're not paying tax on that account, which is kind of crazy too. But if CCIV goes from 25 and next year it's at 50, you made 100% on your money, which you're not going to do that with VOO in a year. You're just not, unless you're buying the COVID dip and then now you're running it up. Yeah, okay, but ideally you're not going to do that with that. So that's where the IRA comes in for something like this, where it's like, what? Yes, there's short term. You can play short term action, sure, but I would be more comfortable just buying CCIV and holding it long term, and that's it. And just paying attention. Obviously, if something fundamentally changes, if no one's buying the cards, if they stink, if there's issues, then you can reassess. But that's how I would see it. Let's see. ALTO, recent insider buys. Yeah, ALTO, I think that also popped up on my scan last week that I was looking at. If I'm not mistaken, this is a stock that I remember looking at. It's got some support down here, worst case down towards 450, support here at 550. It's holding up quite well. Range up for sure. HOFV. This is an interesting one as well. I don't want to be that guy, because I'm not. When it comes to that stuff where it's like I called it, right? Because I don't care to call stuff. I just try to give ideas, and everyone can act on the ideas or not. But I believe I have a video from a while back that you can go and look at. And I'm sure I have videos from a while back that didn't pan out well at all. But I have a video, HOFV, when it was down in here. I'm like 90% sure it was like down in this like 150 range. Now it's like This is a stock that, is going to be, a 100% something like that, or I forget what it was, 200%. And it is quite literally not letting us down. So from back around that time, let me pull up the trendline tool. Obviously, it went up to over 400% from where it was. But from where right now, it's up 230%. So yeah, it's up a lot. I will say that. It's already up a lot. I don't know if it's trending decently. A reopening play. So if you had the guts, in a sense, to kind of hold this one out through, then, you're looking great. If you didn't, and you scaled out on some other spikes, you still made money, so you can't complain. But it's holding trend quite nicely. I want to see if it does dip down towards $4 or even lower. It might not be a bad idea to pick something up on that one. Let's see. Don't believe we will let you trade options in the Roth. I don't think I've tried. I don't know. That would be weird if they didn't. That would be very weird if they didn't do that. But I don't know. I haven't tried personally myself. ITRM. Crazy action on ITRM the other day. Look at this. They have data coming out, right? So this is getting some action, or they have an FDA approval, I believe, right? So look at this. This thing went down to 145, which was nuts. I think it was a stop loss hunt, potentially, looking for market makers to hit people's stop losses. Because on a play like this, a lot of people had stops in place where you kind of have a binary play here, where either you're going to get a yes or you're going to get a no, and the stock is either going to go, 100% or maybe more, or it's going to kind of get cut in half, maybe even more, right? So when this happens, it's a very easy play to just say, okay, let's hit everyone's stops and get them out, and then we'll buy the cheap shares. Like literally, it's just like easy money. Because I almost guarantee you had people who had that idea saying, hey, you know what? If they get the decision, sooner rather than later, and I'm not paying attention, I want to make sure that I have a stop loss on this thing so I don't get crushed. And there you go. Everyone gets stopped out, and it was crazy because look what happened. If you look at the movement, literally, you could have been an ITRM holder. You could be, on a boat. You can be playing golf one day. You check in the morning, it's up here around $2. Okay. You check in the afternoon, it's at 2:30. Hey, it's up a couple percent today. You had no idea that at one point during the day, your stock was down or it dipped, over 10% intraday. But that's what happened, and people bought that dip. Actually, it did more than that. It dipped more than 10%. No, it dipped more than that. Yeah, it did. I was like, wait, what? No, it's not. It dipped 27% intraday. 27%. So someone who was in there who had a large position was definitely freaking out, for sure. If you're watching it, you're probably scrambling, looking for the news. I don't see any news. And then it recovers, and you're like, oh wait, that was a stop loss hunt. There you go. Yep, stop loss hunts, and we cover that in a lot. It happened a lot. It happened to me a couple times on some day trades and the live trading from Wednesday. So if you go back to Wednesday, live trading video, it's about an hour long. You guys can watch, and I just talk through a couple stop loss hunts, getting hit and stuff, and seeing how that stuff works. So if you want more, I guess, info or you want me to, more explanation on that live, I talked about it there, so it's a good place to go. Let's see. AKBA is setting up. It's a patience play. This is not something that I would be worried about every 2 seconds. It's making beautiful strides. It broke out of this little area right here, this 380. It's breaking out to the upside. It's looking really good. It's got quite the range. If you look at the weekly chart on this guy, quite the range. I love these setups. Just for a beautiful patient play, penny plays. This is the type of setup that I want to make sure I am finding a lot of these into, let's say, September, October, November, when we're getting some good dips on a lot of stocks. I'm going to be ready to hopefully have a good chunk of cash ready to go to be buying some good swings on stocks like this, and make some good gains on that, because there's range. There's 50%, 100% is fairly doable on a lot of these oversold plays like this, and there's lots of range to the upside. So AKBA is doing its thing. I like it. Check out DM. Hop back in last week. What's DM? Desktop Metal. DM. Yeah, this thing pulled back. It's got some solid support here down in the lower, under anything under 12, I think is good. Anything under 12 looks pretty good to me. Support right there. Throw some DM in your Roth. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. I think in my Roth, I have a good chunk of PLTR. That's one that I have in the Roth just for, quite some time. I have, what else do I have? I have some VISL in there as well that I've had for a while. I haven't sold any of that though. But yeah, when I have some, if VISL hits like $5, then I'll probably take that out and then I'll probably buy something else. So this is not a bad idea. ITRM waiting for PDUFA. Yep. It's gonna be interesting because it's also a stock that it's kind of, I want to say like TRCH in a sense where it's gotten a lot of attention, ITRM. So I could see that as a good thing and a bad thing, because if it gets approved, right, then great, right? A lot of people were playing it for that approval. Now what? There could be a good backside there, but at the same time, there could be a lot more there, and people might want to run it up a lot more. So it could go crazy. Just found your channel. Appreciate it, Josh. Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of fun. I mean, what I'm trying to do more of is I'm trying to have more fun, I want to say, in the videos going forward. So like live tradings, top stocks, live tradings on Wednesdays, top stock videos like this on Sundays. We go over a lot of charts and stuff like that. But then outside of that, like Tuesday, Thursday, when I post my other videos, I'm going to try to have some more fun with some stuff where I want to talk about kind of some other things that are going on, not just like being boring in a sense. Not that, some of the stuff's boring, and add some more, I guess, commentary or more ideas to some other things. But also we'll say for those who want more, like a great way for people who are like just brand new to like charting and technicals and want to learn more about like the active side of trading. There are links, should be links down below in this, or maybe other videos, or it should be under this video too, this live, to the two other channels I have. I have stock trends and then TC trading. So TC trading is going to be more of like the tutorial style, more educational going forward. And I'm looking to post like 1-2 times a week on that channel. I think as of right now, I'm posting like twice a week because it's not monetized. And when you're not monetized, YouTube doesn't like you as much. And so you don't get much attention in the algorithm. So it's a whole thing, right? It's a whole battle on YouTube. So I'm doing that. And then the stock trends channel, if there's a hot stock, I'm getting a lot of questions, a lot of attention on. There's news. I cover it. We talk about support, resistance, technicals, what's driving it, price targets, all that stuff. Just non-biased, like every day I try to make a video on that channel. Just super quick. Should be like, 5-minute video, 10-minute video max if it's more important, right? But that's it. So though, if you want more stuff like that, then those are definitely available as well. So lots of good stuff already here. Playlists galore to dive back through, tons of stuff. So as well as our $100,000 challenge that we're getting towards the end of a year. So we'll see if we can push. I don't know. Things have to heat up quite a lot for us to hit that goal, but we did pretty well so far, so I'm not going to complain. Cannabis. I like Cannabis a lot. However, the only situation with Cannabis right now is, here's the biggest thing with Cannabis, is that there's a lot of these Canadian companies that are actually the actual bigger players in Cannabis. A lot of them are on the OTC, and they're more US based companies. That's where the money's at, I think, in my opinion, on Cannabis plays. Now, I do think that in the meantime, right, we get some approvals, more states, and Cannabis will have its ups and downs for sure. I like CGC where it's at. It's kind of bottomed out right here. CGC is setting up pretty nice. I personally think that there's some bigger players and some bigger names in the US space, but as of right now, they're on the OTC. So you got to go to like TD Ameritrade, or even E-Trade, other brokers. If you're on like Robinhood or even Webull, you can't buy those stocks for a lot of people who are new. So I like some other plays on the OTC. Personally, if I had to pick one, I would probably say CGC would be my favorite one. I think I was in this one. I actually wrote it up from about the same level up to about $50 a couple months back, and then I sold it. But probably not a bad idea right now. I like the sector. I think it's going to be a massive sector going forward. I just don't think the Canadian companies will ultimately be where the money's at. I think you're going to see a big shift once those US companies get more attention, or if they uplist to, let's say, off the OTC to the big boards in a sense, right? So that's what I think personally. DM added to Russell. Sofi is another one I think is a good buy and hold personally. Sofi has had a dip and a half. Look at this thing. It fell back off. I think it's going to find some support at $18. I'm putting it on the list. I am putting it on the list as an idea for this week. SoFi is a good idea, I think, if you wanted to grab some longer dated calls or just grab shares in, let's say, a Roth IRA or a longer term swing account. This is probably not a bad play. For a bounce, I think it would bounce. It might bounce around 18 bucks. Didn't have a great close. Obviously, it closed at the low of the days, but it's probably worth a bounce at some point here. If it does dip down under 18, down towards 17, 16, is a really good spot, I think, for a longer term play. Let's see. CBDL lotto play. Let's see. Let's look at this thing. That is setting up as an absolute bottom. CBD Life Sciences. This has got, I mean, this is one of those OTCs, right? So you have there. I am not someone who has played OTCs too much, so I don't know enough about playing OTCs. But it's a different game in terms of your position sizing, right? Because you talk about this stock right here in its run that it had, okay, up over like 1,500%. Yes, but if it does tick down, look what happens on a tick down. You could be down 50% in no time. So just be careful on some of that. Just if you're someone who's looking to get into OTC, it's just like I look at it as more lottos, but you can play it not as a lotto, but you got to make sure your sizing is more lotto if you're playing a sizing similar to what you're playing for big boards. Let's see. Thoughts on KCAC? I don't know enough about this one. I don't know enough about this. I have heard of it. I recall a little bit, but I don't know. I think if you're looking for risk reward, it's not bad right here. But again, post mergers, right? You're going to have, this could drop a lot more. So I personally would probably wait till post merger in this day and age with some of these SPAC plays. Personally, post merger, look for a dip, and then that's a better opportunity. Especially with the new infrastructure bill. Yeah, the infrastructure bill is no joke. There's a lot of money being tossed at a lot of sectors. Honestly, it's not just some of the surface stuff. You got to dive through a lot of that. One of the things that I noticed in it was talking about how they want full internet access for all Americans. I mean, think 5G, right? I don't know. I think that could be a very, very big play going forward. And I have some 5G plays I've talked about in the past. COMS, COMS is one that I like. Has 5G ties. There's opportunity on that space as well. Let's see. DSS is, I have DSS. I love it under the 180 area. I love DSS under 180 range. You got range on this thing, 250 or 240, and then up towards like 250, 275. But I'll be taking something off the table at $2, ideally. Scale in, scale out is how I do it. SLNO picked up a few Friday. Thing that re-entered on the dip. Let's see. Interesting. This is definitely interesting. Fell down here just under $1. I would say it probably holds $1 from here. Yeah, as long as it holds $1, it looks like it's got range. It head up to over 160 something. Not that far back. If we zoom out even further, it's got a gap fill up here towards about 240. It's got range. This is a nice play as well. I like this chart. Spikes, prior range, a little bit of patience will do you nice, and you should be set up for a nice play. Think of it as buying it back in here, right? You're buying it back in here. You're going to get your pops, drops, ups and downs, dips, and then eventually a nice pop, and you'll have your nice 100% move, and you're good. So sometimes it's difficult to hold through all that, but I think a lot of times you got to take a step back on some of these penny plays and look at the bigger picture. EV charging, yeah, EV charging is fourth largest. That's not going anywhere. Nah, it's not going anywhere. That's going to be big for sure. Thoughts on NAKD? And then I want to look at crypto, and then we'll wrap things up roughly right here. NAKD is holding up. It's doing its thing, right? It's bouncing here off the 60 cent. I mean, I would say I'd hold it as long as it holds the 200 SMA. I mean, I think it's not a terrible swing idea. It's one of those cult stocks that has a pretty big cult behind it, transitioning to more online sales and whatnot. That's not a bad idea. Theme that I've been sticking to is Bitcoin, betting, and blunts. I like that. Coin is probably not a bad idea. I think coin. Let's look at coin. I think it's not bad to pick it up while things are quiet. So down here, I think is a longer term play. I think is not a bad idea at all. Maybe wait for I don't know. The next earnings could be decent still because there's been a lot of attention. So we'll see. But maybe wait for 1 or 2 more earnings reports and we can get a bigger dip. But for a longer term play, this could be good down here. This could be interesting. I like it as a decent idea for just a long term kind of play. If you believe Bitcoin's not going anywhere and crypto is going to be here to stay, then yeah. The concern right now is everyone's like, oh my gosh, regulations and whatnot. But I think it's not going anywhere. I think Ethereum, Bitcoin are my 2 top holdings. But that I'm not a crypto, guy. So take a look at ETH. ETH is up 5% today, bouncing here quite nicely, which is nice to see. We have some support as well we have developed. If we can draw this guy in. Got some support we developed down here just under 2,000, down to about 1,700 or so. It's looking pretty good for a bounce right there. Let's take a look at BTC. How is Bitcoin doing? Bitcoin it's just like it's setting up. I think it's setting up for a bigger pull, but that would be my time. I mean, you could probably snag some here for a little bit of a longer term if you're a believer in it. Personally, this is a bear flag in my view, right? This is a bear flag setup. But if we do get one more hard pull under 30K and it really pulls, that's where I'll pick something up again. Because I bought in well under 20K. And so I don't, I'm just kind of chilling on what I have. But if we do get one more hard pull, then that's where I'll be buying more personally. And that's it. I don't know anything about NVIDIA personally. When it will be split, I do not know at the current moment. Been trading some coin, keeping it for long term. FAMI's back to a good spot. I think it's back in a good spot. FAMI for a good play. FAMI. Yeah, I mean, I was in it back in here. It popped up. I took some profits, so we're gonna have to get over the 50 SMA, which is up 54 cents or so. But yeah, that's where I am personally not in it, but I like it again. If I wanted a mushroom play, then this is my play. There's other ones too, but that's one to watch. Okay, last check here, futures, and then we'll wrap things up. So, indicating green open, but we'll see if this holds up for tomorrow. Very, very slightly green. It's kind of how it's been the past couple of days. Very just slight green every day, but it's been nice. I can't complain. Market's been holding up quite nice. Let's take a look at crude oil. What is crude oil looking like? Crude, man. I mean, I'm telling you, one of these days CEI is going to have its day, but watching oil plays for sure. I mean, look at oil. Look at that, just spiking straight up as we speak. I'll touch that really quick because we got to cover this. CEI, if you want some oil plays, if oil stays hot, this is an absolute bottom play. I love CEI right here. There's not much more I can say. It's just setting up. I'm looking for a PR personally, but also it could run on just oil being up. It could run. USCG is beautiful as well. Tons of range up on USCG. HUSA, HUSA, 190. I think is a great spot. Under $2 is fine. I think on HUSA, give it some time for a bigger move. There's even PED setting up for a spike as well. PED is setting up. And then there's like GBR, there's BRN, there's plenty of them. GBR is another one that pulled back, but it could be setting up. It's holding support here in the mid-5s. So there's some oil plays. If you want some oil plays, take a shot at one of those. I think the best risk reward is personally on CEI, but the highest ceiling could be GBR potentially, as this could make a couple 100% move. It went up to $30 a couple of months back, so it has that type of range. But I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I will be catching up with you guys later. Thanks so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up button on the way out. I like DraftKings personally as an online gambling play. But personally, my small cap sports betting play is ELYS. If you're interested, take a peek at that one. I think it's a good one. So thanks so much for tuning in. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.